So ScPrime is one of the most interesting and possibly one of the most lucrative passive income projects to come along in a long time. It capitalizes on the absolute boom in the data storage industry. And I'm going to tell you some of those statistics in a minute. And also, just fair warning, this video is for that lower to mid-level tech person. And so if you, like me, if you work in the IT department, you might want to pass on this one. Or you might want to give it a look. You might want to get involved. I don't know. But of course, also, this isn't financial advice, but I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime passive income opportunity, and you won't have to get up on the roof to do it. So take a look. So this opportunity is all about data. And the data storage industry in and of itself is exploding. It's been big, it's gotten huge, and it's get really, really big. Moving forward, enterprise level data storage is increasing by leaps and bounds, probably faster than the industry can probably accommodate. And that's kind of what we're here talking about today, is we're talking about solutions for that amount of data storage. Traditional companies, whether they are brick and mortar or they're fully remote, they all have data storage needs. And that data storage is getting really, really big. Now, you look at some of the data that we were able to pull up here, the annual size of the global data sphere is increasing significantly. Right now, we're sitting at somewhere in the range of 80 zettabytes. Now, if you want to know what a zettabyte is, a zettabyte is 1 billion terabytes. And we're talking about 80 zettabytes right now, as it stands right now. Moving forward through 2025, 175 zettabytes. That even gets crazier when you look at the forecasts up through 2035. 2035, they're talking about 2,142 zettabytes. That's really hard to wrap your head around, but it just tells you where we're headed in terms of data storage. And to store all that data, companies will spend an enormous amount of money. The data storage market itself right now is sitting at around $100 billion. Looking out, forecasting out to 2029, you're looking at $376 billion. You take that again out to 2035, you can only imagine what the spend is going to be. How do companies do it? Well, they use who you would expect, right? They use AWS, Microsoft, and Google. Then these guys build these massive data centers to be able to accommodate all these data storage needs. So they plop these data storage centers all across the countryside, throughout the world. Amazon alone has somewhere in the range of 100, 150 data centers. That's not enough to be able to accommodate all of the data storage needs that are going to be moving forward. And so they're going to have to build more, right? Well, here's the situation. It costs a lot of money to run a data center. Energy usage alone is pretty incredible. And the amount of water that these facilities require to be able to cool these massive computers that they use to be able to store the data. So in and of itself, I mean, the natural resources and the human resources that are required to be able to run these data centers are pretty incredible. And it costs a lot of money for Amazon, Microsoft, and Google to be able to pull this off. So what's the solution? Well, the future state of this could very well be ScPrime. ScPrime, basically, here's the definition. And this is a definition that the implementation team communicated. Okay, ScPrime is a network of individuals offering computer storage over the internet for businesses to store their data on. Companies today use traditional cloud services like AWS, who place their data on hard drives in large data centers. ScPrime instead stores data across numerous independent storage providers. And that's where we come in, and that's where this passive income opportunity comes into play. Now, before I get into that, part of ScPrime is XANet Services. XANet Services is the arm of ScPrime that goes out and sells all this data storage to all those enterprises that need data storage in the first place. That's the part of ScPrime that sells the data. You and I are the data storage providers. Okay, so you kind of look at it from this perspective. We've got the customers, who are the traditional companies. And whether they're traditional or they're remote, they need to store data. They're the renters. And then we have the hosts, and that's us. We're the hosts. And you see all those little black boxes? Well, that's what we call the XA miner. And all the XA miners that we're going to be putting throughout the world is going to store that incredibly large amount of data that's needed up through 2029 and 2035. And this is it. Let me show you real quick. All right, so that's the, it's an XA miner. I've got 3 of those. And here are the other 2 XA miners. I got them at a different location. I've got them both supplied with separate internet connections. You don't have to do that, but for the time being, I will probably have some DIY units located here also. But I don't want to overburden this location for obvious reasons. It's not good. You need to spread them out. I mean, that's the whole idea of the concept anyway, is to have a distributed data center, not a centralized data center with a bunch of units all in one location. So as more locations become available, I will move them around. I've got them powered up with UPS and just in case of power outages. And I have this old laptop that I use, at least leave here, so that when I need to look at the units, I can do that. And then I've got, of course, we can monitor the temperature of the disk drives. Pretty much we can do that remote, but I also monitor the temperature of the room with that little sensor there. So yeah, this is a nice little setup. And with the 3, but they basically offer you a free DIY license for every XA miner that you buy. At least that's the current deal. Now, when you're watching this, I don't know if that deal will still exist, but it probably will. I've been experimenting with different types of DIY systems, trying to figure out kind of what's the best mix of hardware to be able to make the cheapest, most reliable system. Everybody's going to have an opinion on this, I get it. But let me explain at least what I've done so far. So I've got these Oracle hard drive enclosure right here. It's a system that's got a 16 terabyte Seagate Exos hard drive in it, which is an enterprise hard drive. And powering the miner itself is running off this mini PC. This happens to be a B-Link mini PC. It's 8 gigabyte of RAM, 256 gigabyte of hard drive. It came with Windows 11, and I have since converted that to Linux. But that is not as hard as it sounds. I am not a computer guy, and I'll explain to you in a little bit. Well, probably in the next video. Putting Linux on this was not difficult at all. The next system I have is this ATOP NUC. It's an 8 gigabyte mini PC with 128 gigabyte of SSD. I bought this with Linux already installed, and it was super easy to set up. A little bit of a spoiler here. This was my favorite setup right here. I'm going to say that this is my favorite mini PC, but this Yoda Master right here is probably going to be my favorite hard drive enclosure. Reason being is that the implementation team does not recommend RAID systems, which this Oracle hard drive enclosure right here is a RAID, which is a kind of a redundant type hard drive system. If you're a computer IT person, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but they don't really necessarily recommend using RAID systems. You're able to get by with it if you have one, then go ahead and use it. I'm not going to moving forward when I build my DIY systems. I started off here with a Windows PC, and I converted it to Linux. I use this Mac Mini. I wiped it and put Linux on it, and I run that one. That's very, very similar. It's the same thing. It's a 5-bay RAID enclosure, 16 terabyte, 80 terabyte total capacity. You don't use the RAID functionality on it. And basically, I don't like even talking about it because I don't think you even need to buy these things as RAID. You just buy a hard drive enclosure like this one. That's what I have for DIY setups. Where I bought 3 of these XA miners. I got 3 free licenses, okay? So that was the deal at the time. So yeah, for every XA miner that you buy, you get a free license, and you can set up your own DIY systems. And in the next video, I am going to show you how I set up this unit. I've got myself a ATOP NUC Mini PC, a 16 terabyte Exos Seagate hard drive, and a 5-bay Yoda Master hard drive. This little setup was not that expensive at all. It was definitely worth it. So when you buy one of those, you can set up one of those, and you will basically double your potential for revenue. So the way that this whole thing works is, maybe if you were to look at this map, it's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to break it down a little bit simpler. So here's the customer side. It's on the left here, the red, okay? That's basically what starts here. This is the customer. That's the enterprise. That's the big company that's buying data from XANet services, okay? They utilize existing backup tools like Veeam and so on, and within their facility to package up the data. Then they use S3 compatible interfaces to be able to take that data and then push it into what they call a relayer. So you don't need to know about anything in the red, because this is us over here on the right. We're just the data providers. We don't need to worry about all the stuff on the left, because all the stuff on the left is all handled by XANet services, which makes it really, really nice and really, really easy. Basically, all you have to have is a functioning internet at your home. You plug in your XA miner. You basically have to have just a little bit of interaction with your router to set a couple of ports, which if you can log into your router, it's not a problem. And even if you don't know how to log into your router, you can easily find resources to be able to do that. I'm not going to go into that because every router is a little bit different. Basically, if you're able to basically have internet at your home, you can have one of these things. And the passive income, although I'm not going to quote anything now, and this isn't financial advice, but the potential income from this could be pretty significant, especially if you get involved now. I think right now you get the best deal on the hardware, but the big difference between this and other kind of crypto projects is that the need for this data storage is increasing right now, whether we want it to or not. It's going to happen. And so somebody's going to get a piece of that pie. Why not let it be us? And working with ScPrime and XANet services, I think that these guys are one of the most transparent companies that I've ever seen doing projects like this. And I think that they're primed to be extremely successful with the team that they've assembled. It's pretty incredible when you listen to these guys go through the project, completely transparent, taking this project one step at a time in a really logical and a safe way. How do we get started with it? First thing you got to do is do your research. Like I said, this YouTube video is not a supplement for doing your own research. Okay, so do your own research. Get on Discord. You can find the link in the invite to Discord on a checklist that you can download. I have a checklist available, and I'm going to go through that in just a second. But do your research, and you can get those links into Discord so that you can kind of do your own research there and access all of their white papers, their team, their charter, the value proposition, everything about this project you'll be able to get from those links. In addition to that, you will get to know the team, and you'll get to know them through their YouTube storage provider meetups that they do, and you can watch those on YouTube. You can also participate in discussions on their Discord server channel, which is, I guess you'd say, entertaining, at least. But you'll learn a lot also by participating in the Discord, and then take advantage of deals and incentives, because right now they are offering pretty incredible deals and incentives right now, not only for the hardware, but also incentives through the sharing of the SCP token. There's a little bit more to that, and way more that this video can get into. You'll want to make sure that you investigate that. And like I said, do your own research. This is not financial advice, so you're definitely going to want to. Just know that getting an XA miner is kind of a must. I wouldn't suggest, if you see advertised that they offer licenses, yeah, they do offer licenses. You can just buy licenses, set up your own DIY. Getting started with an XA miner really isn't that expensive. If you look at the way that the hardware lays out and the rebates that they offer, it's kind of similar to going out and buying your own hardware and doing it all. And it's a lot easier just to get started. But the nice thing about buying an XA miner is that you get a free license with it. So you automatically get a kind of a leg up on setting up your own hardware. That's cool. And like I said, you double your results with a DIY, right? So you get an XA miner and then you set up a DIY. And I'm going to show you how I set up my DIYs. One of the things that I have been putting together is this checklist. It's a DIY checklist. I call it a free download. It's just basically is going to kind of like a step 1, step 2, step 3 of all the different steps in doing it. in full transparency, there are links in there that kind of link back to Amazon, and those are affiliate links to buy the hardware. You get a teeny tiny bit from sales on Amazon, but that was just one way that I could monetize this and keep providing content for this channel. You'll buy me a half a cup of coffee if you click on one of those links. This video is not being monetized at all, not even one little bit by ScPrime or the ScPrime company. I'm doing this all on my own. Maybe in the future they'll have affiliate opportunity, but I'm certainly not counting on that. I'm getting involved in this project because I believe in it. I think it's a really awesome project. So go to the description section of this video and you'll be able to download the SCP checklist. I've got it titled So Easy That Even Mike Can Do It, because I'm not a computer guy, and I was able to do all those things like with Linux just by following some simple instructions from their website. It was really, really easy, kind of ridiculously easy. I never even thought about doing anything with Linux. I always thought that was a computer programmer thing, but it's really kind of accessible to everybody, and it's free software, and that's why this ATOP NUC Mini PC was like $30 cheaper than this this B-Link one right here, which had Windows already pre-installed, because Linux software is free, Windows is not. So, you know, it was kind of a no-brainer to buy this off of Amazon, and this thing has been trouble-free for sure. So there we go. If you guys want to learn more about this, like I said, click on the link in the description section of this video, and that'll give you access to all the different resources. So. Okay, so there's a few things I didn't talk about in this video, right? Well, the one big thing is, how do you get paid? And, you know, how does that whole process work? Well, check out this next video, and I'm going to go into a little bit of detail and give you the basics on how that works.